For President Trump, downsizing the federal government is a top priority.
We're cutting numbers that nobody's ever seen before.
But Peter Gaff says the cuts come with costs, and vulnerable people around the world who received U.S. foreign aid will pay with their lives.
People will die because of this, particularly children who are suffering from severe acute malnutrition who won't be able to get the treatment that they need. They will die. They will waste away and die.
Gaff is one of the many former federal workers with the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID. He was in the agency's Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance. He says his work helped provide life-saving assistance to people impacted by terrorism in West African countries.
People are being killed. They're fleeing their homes. There are millions of displaced people who need access to water. They need food assistance. They need health care. We were funding that for them.
Federal agencies are in the crosshairs of the Trump administration. And soon after the president was sworn in, one of them received its eviction notice.
At USAID headquarters in Washington, the sign was quickly removed from the building. People were laid off like Gaff. And on the last day in February, he came out to support fellow workers who were told to pack up their personal belongings and leave.
These are really committed professional people who've dedicated their lives to helping others. They're being kicked to the curb, and it's horrible. It's really difficult. This does make our country less secure. It makes us less safe. It makes us less strong.
But the Trump administration sees the funding cuts and firings as necessary. On Monday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on X, after a 6-week review, we are officially canceling 83% of the programs at USAID. The 5,200 contracts that are now canceled spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve, and in some cases even harmed, the core national interest of the United States. Rubio said approximately 1,000 remaining programs of USAID will be kept and administered more effectively under the State Department. This week, a federal judge ruled President Trump overstepped his authority by trying to shut down foreign aid funding that had already been approved by Congress, and said billions of dollars will still have to be paid out. But he did not order Trump officials to use the money to save the terminated program contracts. Elon Musk, with the Department of Government Efficiency, says his work, supported by President Trump, is about rooting out waste and abuse in government spending.
The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for.
President Trump has claimed much of foreign aid was wasteful and advanced a liberal agenda. We spoke with USAID workers who said the agency has worked alongside U.S. presidents over the years in a way that respects the different priorities of their administrations. Devin, another USAID worker whose position was terminated, says government reform could make sense, but she doesn't understand why spending cuts began at USAID.
You don't start with an agency whose budget is less than 1% of the United States government budget. The work we were doing was critically important for a very, very small fraction of the budget.
USAID was established through an act of Congress and executive order from President John F. Kennedy in 1961. Former employee Noel Cohn hopes Congress will act now.
I think there are a lot of Republicans who are really upset. I think there are a lot of Democrats who are really upset. But they need to come up with a plan. They need to say something. They need to do something.
Another USAID worker, afraid to share his name, was also unsure about the future for himself and his fellow coworkers.
I mean, the past month has really just been a nightmare. At least to me, the purity of intention that we had going into all this work and day in, day out, giving our best to do this work, and to see it all just torn down pretty recklessly and indiscriminately is just sad.
The impact isn't just felt by federal workers. Those involved in the charitable work of the Catholic Church are also affected. Catholic Relief Services relies on sources of government funding to give aid to vulnerable populations around the globe.
In CRS's cases, it's between 50 and 60% of its funding. USAID was a big part of that funding, and as you know, USAID has been dismantled.
Maria Jessup was recently laid off as an employee of Catholic Relief Services. She says vital CRS programs that provided food, water, and health care offered stability and peace.
These programs have a direct impact. When people go hungry, they're going to do desperate things. They will join a violent extremist organization. They will migrate somewhere where it's safer. And our programs very much tackle those kinds of root cause issues that lead to conflict, that lead to displacement.
Though the outlook is bleak at the moment, Jessup hopes the work of Catholic Relief Services will receive much needed support.
Our organization is doing its best to advocate with the new administration about the value of this work, and we continue to hold out hope that we can change minds.
Mark Irons, EWTN News In Depth.